Today I'm going to talk about how connecting with your twin flame can actually increase your sexual appetite heavily and create a sexual addiction and how to heal from it. And healing doesn't mean that you repress it. It actually means that there are two very dominant inner energies within you in your unconscious, and they are trying to connect. And when you connect them, you are going to have a Kundalini awakening. And I'm saying it from my experience. And as soon as you have that, all of this is going to be gone like this. So I have the solution if you have this problem, and I'm also going to explain that this is not a problem. This is your nervous system is trying to communicate with you, and shame on society for shaming people for sensing their own inner guidance. This is your inner guidance. So what this energy is, actually it's in your unconscious. You are just unaware of it. You have to really, really dig down. And what happens is in your unconscious, this is your Kundalini line. There are two energies that you can actually feel after a lot of inner work and when you get connected to your inner energies. And there is one energy that is going up, and that is anger. It's like this type of energy. It's just like one up. And there is another type of energy that goes like this, and that's your anxiety. And actually, these are two types of sensing systems that are represented in reality, or they exist in reality. And this is actually what you experience when you meet a twin flame, and it doesn't even have to be a twin flame. It's just someone who really triggers these inner energies within you. And what happens is that these repressed parts get triggered. And because they get triggered, they become active again. So you basically have a lot more energy within your body. And what happens is all of these senses become a lot more stronger, so you can sense them a lot easier, and they can become very obsessive. And society shames people as always for anything they want when they don't understand something. And this is something that they don't understand, that this inner energy is actually something that tries to integrate with this other energy. And the way to integrate it, you actually have to reverse it. So you reverse the top part that goes like this, the anxiety one. It goes for lots. This actually represents the patterns, it represents the collective, it represents the many, and it goes like this. And the bottom part represents the individual. That just goes like this. So, and we can see that this is a more masculine, and this is like a more feminine, if we think about it. And as soon as you change it and you make it straight, I'm going to explain, don't worry. Go straight, and this one becomes like this. There will be a synchronizing point, and they connect. And as soon as they connect, you are going to feel that your Kundalini line fires up, and you are going to achieve an orgasm that is probably like every single orgasm you ever had times a million, and you are not even close to describe what that feels. And you can feel it in every single cell of your body, and it also feels like on the top of your head somebody just put an electric plug on the top of your head. And after this experience, I did a lot of inner work, and that's when I had another Kundalini awakening. That's the one I usually talk about, and that's what I classify as my first Kundalini awakening, when I had visions. And ever since I started channeling, and the entity I keep communicating calls itself I am all of us. So I imagine it's this wholeness of reality. And it's exactly at the same point at the top of my head. That's where it comes in, and this is what I experienced as well. So basically, this is the continuation of this Kundalini line. So I'm going to explain my experience, what happened to me throughout my twin flame connection, how this energy increased, and how awful I felt. And now when I look back, how I see it, and I'm also going to explain very specifically how it got resolved, because as soon as I had that experience, I never had this problem ever since, and that happened like 5 years ago. And I'm doing this video because this is something that is still like a taboo to talk about, and probably there are a lot of you who have this experience, but you just don't know who to talk to and you are afraid to ask questions. So I make it very sure that it goes really, really deep. It really digs in the dirt. And as soon as you listen to the end of it, you will realize that this is not dirt. It's actually very, very specific developmental stages that you need to go through, and we all need to go through, and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with anything. These are natural. It's society labeled it this way. And I believe it labeled it this way because they had to come up with an idea that people wouldn't overpopulate the planet. That's what I believe. That's why they put shame and sex together, so they would stop people to have lots of children. And that self-limiting belief that was created by society and especially by religion at that time was very, very necessary and helpful. But we don't need that anymore. It's like a collective self-limiting belief that now actually a problem in relationship, because without a proper sexual experience, you cannot really feel connected to your partner, because you cannot feel connected to yourself either. And actually, sexual energy, when you feel different types of energies in your body, you're actually going to feel it very specifically that it's a bonding energy. It's not something that is dirty. So what you really feel is it's an impulse, it's a crave, but in reality, your head just doesn't understand it, what that really means. And it's kind of like when you put an adult together with a newborn baby, that the baby only have the ability to cry and smile. And this is exactly the same, that it's not a sophisticated system. It just does like this, I want something, but you don't understand what that is. And in reality, it wants to tell you that it wants to integrate. And to be more specific, the energetic system that's in the body and the mind, that's the pattern system within you. So you will actually have a much better understanding of your own inner energies, because as soon as you connect to them, that's when you can have mystical experiences and you can feel, because you have to feel reality and even more deeper and deeper energies that you cannot perceive with your mind. So I'm going to share my story now, and probably many of you will be able to see some similarities with them, because if you are watching this video, there is a reason that you are watching it. So I grew up in a very religious Eastern European village, very traditional, where girls are really shamed for their own needs or anything other than you want something. And what it creates, and also it's a very, very rule-based thing, that follow the rules, do this, do that. And what they do is they really disconnect you from your internal self, how you feel. And what it creates is that you become very connected to the head, where the rules are, what you have to do, what is expected. And even when you feel something that is good or pleasurable, your own nervous system is going to push it down without you realizing it, because it kind of classifies it as it's not good, you shouldn't feel that. And it represses your internal self. And what it creates is that you cannot really enjoy intimacy because you feel dirty. And maybe it's not in your conscious, because that's not what you get. It's just like, I'm not interested, something weird, and there is like an internal block within you. And even when you start to enjoy something, it's just like there is a stop. And it can actually create that many females have, that they cannot achieve an orgasm. And if you have this type of problem, look, I have lots of videos that I have created that is related to sex, because there is a solution for that. And this was the exact thing that got triggered the very first time when I had a twin flame connection. And the twin flame connection is a very deep connection that is connected to your instinct. And your twin flame is going to be your own opposite. So whatever is repressed within you, that is becoming a live person outside of you. And it re-triggers that part within you that is repressed. And what happened to me, it's like you feel, that's how I felt, like there was a pull, and I felt this external, or not external, like extreme turn on towards that person, that it was like just this pull. And that was just like really, really, really weird. And you can feel that you are connected to the person. The other thing you have to understand about these energetic connections, that it's not head-based, because you don't even see the person. So the body is faster than your consciousness, because it's more rigid. And this was my experience, that there was just this pull. And after that pull, that's when I became aware who that person was that I got connected to. And I actually got broken by that relationship. So this is one of the things that is, I would say, a crucial sign of a twin flame connection, that your ego gets completely smashed. It gets broken. That whatever you believed about yourself, you will realize that you were full of shit. And what that means is, I was married at that time, although my marriage was really bad, and I was thinking of getting a divorce, but I wasn't sure. And I always had this high self-righteous thinking about myself, and I felt really judgy about so many people. And that was one of the things, that people who would cheat. And that was one of the, I would say, like huge slap on the face, that I became that person. And the interesting thing is that when you get connected to a twin flame, they generally represent something that switches you. And that twin flame represented actually loyalty. And my loyalty was smashed into pieces. And what he triggered out of me, that I really had to admit that sex was a very important thing for me. And I was in such a deep denial. And it was, I would say, from all of these things that happened to me, one of the most difficult things to admit this to myself. So everyone believes that awakening is just like one thing that you wake up, but in reality it's lots of little things. And actually the beginning is going to be the most difficult, because these are things that are deep down within you, and they get pulled up, and you have to face it, that it's there. You cannot deny it anymore. And even when it's there, you try to tell yourself, no, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. But as soon as you accept it, that's when it gets integrated, when you are absolutely honest with yourself. And that relationship didn't work out, and also it made me realize and really face the reality that it didn't worth to stay in my marriage. It was a dead marriage, and I didn't want to be there. I was just too coward to leave. And that was a huge triggering point to realize that I was completely unhappy. And after that, so in this phase, I was actually the twin flame runner. And I went through a lot of self-development. And during my second twin flame connection, I became the chaser. And now everyone will be like, oh, but you can only have one twin flame. Okay, listen. When you are a runner, you feel attracted to your opposite, which is the chaser, right? But as soon as you switch and you go through a lot of self-development and you became the chaser, do you feel attracted to the chaser? No, you will feel attracted to a completely different person who is your opposite, and that has to be a runner. So that's how you can actually have multiple twin flames that you change. You go through a lot of self-development. And my second twin flame connection was a lot deeper because because I went through a lot of self-development, it could reach deeper in my own trauma and more crap, because this is what you get. A lot of crap comes up. And I got connected more to my emotional part as well. And this is when I got really moved down into my body. And that's when this sexual energy just became extreme. So two things happened. One of the things was that I could channel his emotions. So when he was standing next to me, I could really feel, like, just read. My body just read how he was feeling. And the second thing was that the energy during sex actually connected. During the first one, it just increased, like it became like I became very hypersensitive to that person. But this one was like I could literally feel that the energy got connected. And they even say that during a relationship like this, like the chakra system just really gets open up, and that's why there is a huge energy and the energy system gets connected. And how it felt was that it's like the energy connects, like you can literally feel, and it's like you get this extra energy from the person, and you can feel literally how the other person feels anything, and everything gets channeled into you. And because it's channeled into you, it becomes like double, then 4 times, then 6 times, and it becomes extreme. And it does another thing as well, or it did to me, and that actually caused the addiction. So one of the reasons it's addictive, because it just gives that huge buzz for you, and it also creates a lot of neurotransmitters and hormones, and it can create a cloud night feeling. But what really happened to me was that it's like when you have an orgasm and you feel calm, well, it didn't happen. It just increased the energy even more. And I was like, I was in that phase, I would say like probably 2-3 years, and it was like burning in hell. It was so awful that it just increased. And out of misery, I figured out so many things, that how you can have an orgasm for several minutes and how you can have like lots and lots and lots. Nothing solved it. Nothing helped. Thinking out yourself, that's definitely not, because it's not, the problem is that they try to bring the thinking to this, but these are like completely two different levels. And the head level has actually the unconscious part as well, and these are the two energies that try to connect the unconscious part of the body and the unconscious part of the head. And it was honestly just luck that, I don't know how, and accidental, that this whole misery went away. And I would say that it was the closest to tantric sex, although I never done tantric sex, but this is something that I would say explains it the closest. And I'm going to tell you step by step how to do it. So if you have this problem as of now, or maybe in the future, hopefully this will actually help you, because as soon as you have it, problem solved. So as I said in the beginning, the body is like this angry part that goes up, sends up a signal. It has to send up a signal, because otherwise there is nothing to be read in the head. So this is the aggressive, and the head is the submissive part that I'm just going to read what signal you are sending. And this is actually how it's created, how you feel, that the signal goes up at the back of your body. That's the vagus nerve. And whatever is in your head, your self-beliefs and whatever you learn from society is going to decide what you feel and what you do about it. And what you really do is you have to reverse it, because as soon as you reverse it, you actually have both. So on the bottom part, you have this going up, and this version as well. And on the top part, you have this original, this version, and this going down as well. So basically, these two paradoxes are going to exist, and they cancel each other out in a way that they connect, and you get connected to your two different parts of your unconscious become one. This is how you make out of a duality one thing that is your energetic system. I just want to point out that it might be different for guys. I don't know, because maybe there is difference in the gender. I have no idea about it, but this worked for me. I don't know. You have to figure out your own. I had to figure out it as well. So what you do is, or what I did was, like, the body becomes submissive. What it means is that you allow the partner to play with you. And the only thing you do is your head becomes this way. So the body becomes the observed and the head becomes the observer. And what you do is you imagine that the air comes in and the focus just goes down. Like I imagine, like to my toe. Look, I have no idea how I came off with it. Misery, suffering. I just wanted to cut off my head, probably. That you just send down like your focus really slowly, and you imagine an energetic line moving like this. And that's all your focus, by the way. You don't think, you don't expect nothing. You completely switch your head off. There is nothing in your head. And you allow the focus to get into your body. And you just observe what is happening. There is absolutely no control over the body. You just allow the experiences to happen and allow the energies just to happen. It sounds silly, it's difficult to explain, but what it happens, the partner starts to play with you. So this is not sex, it's just with hand. And it's really, really slow. It's a very, very slow build up. You have to give at least, I would say, like 1.5 to 2 hours to it. I didn't time it, to be honest, but it's like a very, very slow build up. So the whole system can really warm up. And I believe there is a synchronization point to it, that when the whole body just warms up. And because what happens is, when you bring the person close, like that's one thing, but you just keep the person there, the energy just spreads. And that's what you kind of do, that you don't allow the person to have an orgasm for a very, very long time. And it's very, very, very slow. And even the release is like, you don't speed up. And this can be done by for guys as well, by the way. I couldn't achieve this connection for the person, but it's definitely what it creates. How it was explained, like your inside is ripped out. That's one of the things. The other thing is, like, also, like, it's very similar to a Kundalini awakening. The energy just blows out of your heart. That's one of the things. And also, it's like more fulfilling. So you don't want sex as soon. You just feel fulfilled instead of just released. That's probably the biggest difference. And what you basically do is you really, really slowly let the energy build up on its own. So it's not forced. It's more like you have the energy within you just to grow and grow and grow. And meanwhile, with your mind, that's the only thing you do. And you just really try to sink within yourself. It's a little bit like meditative state that you really just become the energy within you, but you don't do anything about it. You don't try to think, you don't try to control. There is no expectations, nothing. You become basically nothing. And you just allow everything to happen. And the only thing you do, again, just this. And also when you breathe, you really, really bring your breathing very slow and very down. And what you actually do, you really connect to the nervous system that is the rest and digest and reproduce, by the way. Because when you start to have an orgasm, you start to breathe from the chest, that's more like a stress state. This is what you do when you are stressed and running away from a tiger. And what you do is, like, you really try to be steady. And actually, when you start getting close, you slow it down, and you slow it even more down and even more down, and it's like really slow. And there is a point where these two energies just connect, and then problem solved. Your energy system gets connected within you, and your experiences are going to change because you are going to be more connected energetically to the outside reality that is even not in this reality, because the way you sense reality is going to shift. And after this experience, by the way, that's when I had that big Kundalini awakening. That was probably 2 months later, but that was again with lots of inner work. Although I don't know if it was something that had to happen before. This is something I cannot tell you, but you can feel this energetic line. It just connects within you, and it's like someone plugged an electricity in your head. It's a very, very extreme I would say experience, and I hope lots of people will have it because it's just really great, and it's like you are reborn. See you in my next video.